Our kids, our neighbors, those we work with every day, are leaving God behind. How can we show them the love of Jesus in a language they'll understand? We serve an all-powerful God who is ready to break our hearts, fill us with his power, and give us the tools we need to reach the secular world for Jesus.
The second key aspect of relevance is we need to show people who Jesus is. So what do I mean by that? Well, in my context in the band No Longer Music, we use theater, art, and special effects to depict a modern day life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. But not in a traditional way that you'd recognize, but contextualized for a secular audience. In our performance, a guy representing Jesus creates a guy and a girl. And the guy that he creates ends up abusing the girl. And we show this because this is real life. This is the kind of thing that people go through, and we don't want to minimize that. But then the guy representing Jesus, he picks up the girl and he takes her to the front of the stage and he drops to his knees and he cries over her. And we show this because so many people think that if God does exist, he doesn't care, that he's far away and that he's indifferent. And we want to show people that that is not true. And finally, the guy representing Jesus, he gives his life for the girl. He sacrifices himself so she can be set free. And this whole time we've been demonstrating the gospel, but it's not until the very end that we verbally tell people what they have just seen. And it's amazing. We'll go out into the crowd and people will come up to us and say, you know, I'm not supposed to like this religious stuff, but what you show me, I want that. I want to know this Jesus you're talking about. If we're going to become relevant, we need to show people who Jesus is. We need to demonstrate his heart and character first, and then tell them who he is. And you might be thinking, well, how am I supposed to do that? I'm not an artist. You may not be an artist, but you can point to someone that is. You can show someone a beautiful film or an amazing piece of music, and you can say, do you really believe that we are just highly evolved animals? That we're just the result of some explosion in the sky? Animals don't create beautiful art like this. Animals do not care about their families or justice or right or wrong. There are so many things in our world that scream the existence of God. If we would help people open their eyes, they would see that the gospel is everywhere that they look. And as followers of Jesus, it's on us to show them and then tell them. Another key aspect of showing people who Jesus is the example that we set with our lives. It's the salt and light principle. The idea that our actions and attitudes give authority to the message that we preach. The reality is, as followers of Jesus, there should be some outward evidence of inward transformation. The world looks at us and it struggles with our hypocrisy. It hears what we say and then sees what we do, and there's a large gap. I was driving home one day listening to sports radio, and the host came on and he was talking about all the terrible things that are said on Twitter. And the co-host jumped in and he said, you know what I often find? You'll read a terrible tweet, and then you'll click on that person's profile and it'll say father of three and follower of Jesus. And they were all laughing and talking about how that's so common. Those that claim to be the most religious are often the worst offenders. And this is so tragic. And of course, this is a misunderstanding of the gospel. It's not about me or my perfection. As Pastor Matt Chandler says, yeah, we are hypocrites and there's always room for more. But should there not be some outward evidence of inward transformation? When studies show that the lives of those that claim to follow Jesus look no different than those outside of the church, what does that say about us? I don't think that this is right. Our actions and attitudes are not the gospel, but the power of a life that first shows the gospel and then shares it, that is powerful. Finally, showing people who Jesus is focusing on the person and not the sin. Something I find truly bizarre is how we are so surprised that non-Christians act like it. We're so appalled by the things they say and the things they do and wear. And so we go on Facebook and we go on our rants, or we put bumper stickers on our car thinking we're making a difference. I think the world knows that we're against things. I'm just not sure if they know we're for anything. Jesus, by contrast, was incredibly merciful. He always went after the heart first, knowing that the behavior would follow. Perhaps the greatest example of this is the story of the woman caught in adultery in John 8. In this tragic story, a woman is caught doing a bad thing, and the Pharisees plan on killing her. But not only that, but they want to use her life in a ploy to trap Jesus. What would he do? Would he show her mercy, or would he uphold the law? They thought they had him caught, but of course Jesus is far more brilliant than they are. And he says, if you've never sinned, go ahead and cast the first stone. Eventually they all leave, and he comes down on her level. He drives away her shame. And it's not until the very end that he says, now go and sin no more. The plan of the Pharisees would have led to her death, but Jesus, his way led to her life. Now, we aren't told how the story ends. It doesn't say now she went on to live a perfect life, but that's not the point of the story. Jesus is modeling for us that we need to show mercy, that we need to go after the heart first, knowing that the behavior will follow. Jesus was always merciful with sinners like me and like you. It was only with the religious and the self-righteous that he was harsh. And if we're going to be relevant, the world needs to know us not for the things we're against, but for our mercy.